Have you ever taken a look into the boring depths of Stereo Madness and thought, hey, I wonder what this would look like if it were made in 2.2? Today, I converted Stereo Madness into a 2.2 level, and I'm gonna show you how. Before we get started though, keep in mind that I am a star grinder and not a creator. Alright, first comes to first, I had to find a copyable version of Stereo Madness. Now that I had a level, I wanted to keep the core features of the level, meaning I wanted it to remain simple and playable for beginning players, but I also wanted it to not look so outdated. My first thought was to add some 3D to the blocks, but as I was doing this, a thought occurred. You're lazy. Why don't you just find a level with pre-made 3D? So that's what I did for the next bit, or at least tried. And let me tell you, I found some pretty interesting levels, but nothing that I was looking for. I eventually concluded that if I wanted things done a certain way, I'd have to take the time to build it myself. And even though it took a lot more time than copying someone else's work from the servers, it was a lot more rewarding looking back at my own work. Once I was finished up with the 3D and took a second to admire what I'd done, the level was feeling a bit static, so I decided to add some movement. With the help of some move triggers, a bit of copy and pasting, and using the build helper feature, I was able to create this. And after adding some movement time and easing, it looked a lot more smooth. With these next three obstacles, I wanted to have them bounce down to their static position, and with the help of easing, I was able to accomplish that. I also added these indicator blocks so the level would be more sight readable for a beginner player. My main goal with movement was to have any floating blocks in the level either rise up to the player or fall down. After that, I had this final section before the ship portal before I was pretty much done with the movement of the level. For this part, I once again kept things simple and had the first three blocks move down to the player and copy and paste the staircase from earlier for the rest. I then decided to add these blocks that bounce down at the beginning of the level, as I was finding this part a bit stale, but eventually decided against it for a reason you'll find out about in a sec. So I ended up putting these blocks a bit further in the level. With the movement done, I finally decided it was time we added some 2.2 features, the first one being camera movement. My main goal with camera movement was to have the level once again feel more dynamic and eliminate the empty space that can be seen in many parts of Stereo Madness, and focus the level to its core elements, that being the gameplay itself. As you can see, I'm messing around with the zoom trigger in this part, as I wanted the level to start off zoomed in on the player cube, and zoom out to introduce the first couple spikes in the level. But I was having quite a bit of trouble understanding how these new triggers worked. The biggest thing that helped me with this problem was the information buttons provided in each trigger. And huge props to RobTop for actually putting useful information in most of these buttons for 2.2. Anyways, after a bit of messing around, I was able to get the zoom triggers to do this. As you can probably notice, the second zoom out is a bit choppy, so I decided to get rid of the easing effects I had on the trigger, and it made the camera movement a lot smoother. Now that I had camera movement that I was happy with, I started spreading more of them throughout the first section of the level, trying to get rid of empty space and make sure the gameplay was still sight readable and fun. Now, I just had one final thing I wanted to add to the level to tie everything together, and that was transitions. I decided on a pixelate trigger for the beginning of the level to have the player sort of pixelate into existence. For the end of the level, I settled on a sepia filter, as it really fits for the build-up to the ship portal. If you guys have any thoughts on what you liked or didn't like in this video, please write your thoughts in the comments below. Anyways, here's the final results. If you guys want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing and leaving a comment below on what you think I should do for the rest of this level. See you next time.